Hi, Kathianne Lewis once again, and it's time for a faith lift. First of all, I'm just so glad to be home. I love travel. I am always enriched by travel, and I always come back a little bit different. I'm not sure why, and I never know what's going to be different. But I've noticed that subtle and sometimes not so subtle shifts happen because I've gotten out of my usual environment. And so I guess if I was going to give you a tip, find a way to do unusual things for you. And it may not be going to Turkey. You may not go out of the country. You may not even have to go out of the state or out of the city. But try new things. Put yourself into some sort of new situation and see what it does to you. But that's not my talk for today. Actually, I want to answer a question that was sent to me by one of our congregants. And what he asked is, how do I find the right partner? Now, I, for one, have worked on this a lot because I grew up with the idea that I was always going to be evaluated by the company that I kept, especially the male company that I kept. I was going to base some of my self-esteem, and I thought that I would be looked at favorably or unfavorably by who I was dating or married to. That was what was going on when I was growing up. And I fell for it for a long time. So I was very familiar and am very familiar with what it would take to attract someone into my life so that they would ask me out and maybe we'd go steady or we'd live together or get married, all those things. I mean, I played around with it for a long time. And so I've looked at this thing called attraction for a long time, especially concerning significant others. Now, you may not be looking for a significant other, but what I'm going to talk about, the principles that I'm going to talk about, can be applied to a job or the right school for your children or the right investment counselor or whatever. So it's translatable to other subjects. So I used to make a list. And how many of you make lists? And sometimes lists work, but for me, no, not so much. I mean, they really worked. I mean, I would make a list and I would attract what I had in mind. But it didn't always turn out the way I wanted. See, when we make a list, we make it out of our needs at the moment. But we are growing, evolving people. And who I was when I was 20 is not who I am now. Who I was when I was 40 is not who I am now. And so in a long-term relationship, both parties will be shifting and changing and growing, hopefully. And hopefully together, but maybe not. So how could you make it work? I mean, I would get a list and I'd be with that person, or I should say I'd get the results of my list and I'd be with that person, but I was shifting and changing. And we would shift and change and evolve away from each other. But finally I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to put down roots and have a lifelong partner. So here's what I did. I had a very short prayer. Father, Mother, God within, because I know that there's a masculine and a feminine side to the divine. You could call it Mother, Father. It just worked for me. It feels cozier. It feels more personal. So I'm personalizing a principle that is impersonal, and it feels good to me. You don't have to do it that way. But I said, Father, Mother, God within, draw to me someone in whom I can have a satisfying, fulfilling, and supportive relationship for the rest of my life. Short, sweet, to the point. Didn't care how tall they were, didn't care what they looked like, didn't care what they did, didn't care about a lot of stuff. And the Spirit of God is so smart that I could attract Tim Lorenzo. And as I evolved, he's evolved. And I mean, I didn't know that I'd get into horses, and he loves horses. I mean, there's so many things that I didn't know I would be growing into, and Tim has been able to grow with me, if not in the same area, but in a supportive way. It is better than I could have figured out. And by the way, in the past, I figured out a lot of good stuff. How many of you have done that? So, try this on. Real short and sweet prayer for anything. That I have a satisfying, fulfilling career. I have a satisfying, fulfilling employment. My children are satisfied and fulfilled in the school that they're in. I have satisfying, fulfilling friendships. It really is the essence of what we really want. We want to be satisfied and fulfilled, and the Spirit of God, the universal presence, that divine intelligence, knows better on how to have that happen for the long term than we could ever possibly figure out. Hope that helps for everyone. Bye for now.
Everybody's painting a picture with every decision they make. Your life is a thing of such beauty, but all you notice are regrets and mistakes. You're a canvas full of colors bleeding into one another, yet you see yourself in monochrome. Just step back and let it hit you. You can see the bigger picture. All the details come together on their own. You're already so much more than you can see. You're a poem, you're a rhythm, you're a melody. You're the answer to eternal mysteries. You're a prophet, you're a dreamer, you're a visionary. When life has pulled you under, you're silenced by the thunder. You dance beneath the pouring rain. And when living makes it hard for you to breathe, just remember every moment that everybody's searching for something. It doesn't mean that anyone's lost. Can't you see that everyone's hurting? It's a feeling shared by all of us. Like a canvas full of colors bleeding into one another to remind us that we're not alone. Just step back and let it hit you. You can see the bigger picture. You know you don't have to make it on your own. We're already so much more than we can see. We are poems, we are rhythms, we are melodies. We're the answer to eternal mysteries. We are prophets, we are dreamers, we are visionaries. When life has pulled us under, we're silenced by the thunder. We dance beneath the pouring rain. And when living makes it hard for us to breathe, we'll remember every moment we're a masterpiece. We're all pictures in a gallery, hanging just like stars in the galaxy. We shine into infinity. You're already so much more than you can see. You're a poem, you're a rhythm, you're a melody. You're the answer to eternal mysteries. You're a prophet, you're a dreamer, you're a visionary. When life has pulled you under, you're silenced by the thunder. You dance beneath the pouring rain. And when living makes it hard for you to breathe, just remember every moment you're a masterpiece. You're a masterpiece. You're a masterpiece. You're a masterpiece.